If you'd like to enter the deep, deep mines, otherwise known as the Undergrove, and come out victorious, don't move. I'll be sharing my tips on surviving the deep mines in Dinkum, starting with this. Chests in the deep, deep mines are always in the southwest room. Whenever I find a square room, I open the map and place a gem icon to keep my bearings. That way I only use 2 keys max to get to the chest. I then switch them to the X icons to know that I've completed the room. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves, and speaking of head, if you've managed to get yourself one of the miner's helmets, you might have found that it eventually goes out of charge. Well, a cheeky hack is to carry resin in your pockets to always keep the light on. Note, you'll need to have some charge on the helmet for this to work. It'll just keep the helmet itself charged whilst you've got that resin, and will eventually go out once you run out of resin. You might be asking yourself, but Alexi, why don't you just use a candle hat? Firstly, a candle hat you'll find on level 2 of the mines or the Undergrove and doesn't need power. However, I found that the miner's helmet has a brighter light. You'll find the helmet from a gacha machine or the first level of the mines, and I'm assuming you haven't yet got 50 million to drop on a halo. Let's have a quick look at the light emitted by these 3 light types. The candle hat gives pretty good light. The halo has similar but stronger than the candle hat, and the miner's helmet is brighter overall right in front, where you need it most. The other thing I'd recommend you do is put away any money that you've got before you go down into the mine. That's by removing it from your wallet into a chest or a crate, or just put it into your pockets, which is good enough. The reason for this is if you die, at least you won't lose 10 to 20% of the money in your wallet. Don't know how much it is, leave a comment if you do. In the mines, you'll need a bunch of keys, which if you craft some of these crab pots and leave some meat in it overnight, the next day you'll get a whole bunch of goodies, including old keys. The silver pocket watch I understand you can only find on a Sunday mystery flight, but it's definitely a great one to have. It slows down time for you to maximize your haul. Before you set out on your mine run, I'd recommend having a purpose. Are you collecting emeralds, hoarding bunches of ore, or raiding treasure rooms of chest contents? Or maybe you're collecting the collectibles like lights, moss tiles, or vines. Another useful item is the bat sapper. It at least stuns frillies long enough to get back, like the Empire did in Star Wars. Before you go into the mines, or just as soon as you arrive, I'd recommend increasing your health and stamina bars with the food of choice, the sausage roll, as it gives you 5 minutes of fighting buff and 5 minutes of defense buff. Along with a speed buff, or some cooked croco meat will be a great start. Having said all this, to get to the second level of the mines, you're going to need 4 ruby shards, which can be placed in the dash to the left. I'm hopeful that in future versions of the game, emerald shards might take you to level 3 and aquamarine might take you to level 4. Here's hoping. This is a good time to don your miner's helmet. When down in the deep, deep mines, keep a lookout for areas like this, which is 2 colors. One is hiding marble, which you can use a pickaxe or a jackhammer to rip it up and collect. With collecting, if you find some clumps of emerald and you're close enough to the mine shaft, I tend to deliver it and place it inside the elevator. Otherwise, I'd recommend breaking it up and placing the shards into your pocket. If you've got space, that is. I suck at that. The deep mines are dark and finding treasure rooms is a bit of hit and miss. What I like to do is place a beacon in a certain direction and beeline to it. Any rooms that I find along the way, I tackle one by one. What's your plan of attack if you use this technique? Do you use diagonal runs, vertical or horizontals? Sometimes I like to hit the edge of the mines, which by the way, if you know you've hit that, if you can't take the walls down anymore. The other thing I like to do is travel down the waterways. If you've got yourself a boogie board, it makes your travel that little bit faster, plus the ability to jump. It also allows you to cross-section the map without being hindered by any rocks or pillars. The other reason is the baddies become docile even if they jump in the water with you. Hey buddy, you want to go for a swim with me? Here's another example of frillies just hanging there. 4 of them in fact, not attacking. If you can afford the space and you found yourself a glider, in particular the leaf glider, you can coast above the water and make great distance really quickly. When it comes to treasure rooms, I tend to change the camera angle by pressing in the control stick, which allows me to get a more aerial view. It also allows me to see what's inside and plan my attack accordingly. If you've got yourself an alpha hammer, these things are great to send ripple damage from outside, so I like to clear the way from a safe distance before entering the room. The other thing I like to do is mark treasure rooms that I've already looted. I use stars to navigate and X's when I've cleared out the rooms. As mentioned before, the treasure chests are always in the southwest rooms, so I mark those with gems and change them to X's when I'm done. In addition to the square treasure rooms with chests, you'll find the occasional emerald rooms, which tend to force you to use about 6 keys if you want to collect all 4 emeralds. These generally unlit treasure rooms feature hallways which have a couple of rooms off to either sides with beasts to slay of different kinds. Best to smash the shards to avoid taking them all back to base. Oh, in case you weren't already aware, the iron ore will sparkle, which is an easy way to differentiate between that and tin. Let's put a helmet back on. Even with a jackhammer, it can take quite a while to get through all that you encounter in the mines. For this reason, I carry bottles of wattle brew, which not only increases my stamina, but also gives me 10 minutes of foraging buff and mining buff, making rocks melt like butter. Oh, if you're enjoying this video, please hit that like button. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button too. Did you know that only 5% of viewers actually subscribe? Let's change that. Okay, back to the content. Also with the wattle brew, it makes light work of the pillars, so be sure you've got some in your system when chopping through these. The other thing I'm sure to carry is bottle brew, which gives me the much needed health boost, along with 5 minutes of regenerating heart. Check out my health bar meter increasing with me while I do nothing. Neat! Regardless of your fighting ability, there will come a time where you get spat at by the frillies, which makes you sick. If you want to call Barley on the game and get a breather, head to the nearest waterway and stand on a lily pad. Wait out your sickness and down your brew of choice. Oh, and fun fact, do you know what barley means? It's a term we used growing up when we played chasey, tag or you're it games, where there was a safe place you could seek refuge and break from the game. After some quick research online, apparently there are different terms for this very thing in different regions of Australia, which perhaps barley is a variation of parlay or call for a truce. If you're an Aussie, what term did you use for this growing up? Playing Dinkum with friends is fun, particularly the mines. You have the benefit of extra firepower, more pocket space for your haul, and on top of the fact that it's not over when you die. No, Debos! I will avenge you! You can revive or be revived. There, Debos, it's all going to be okay. Just be sure you've got plenty of food to recover. Despite me having a silver pocket watch, there will come a time when the in-game clock turns late, which makes an unsafe place in the mine. You'll get hit by radiation every second, which can be extremely excruciating and frustrating, so best be sure to be wrapping things up by 11 PM to allow enough time to get back to base. If you'd like to make Dink and be stinky dinky rich, check out the video on screen, and g'day to my channel members, AG Nation.